Hey YouTube, it's Petey Two Finger, and I just got done with 6 hours of DIY. We built the Twill, which is a Lay Louie, which is a Fender. It's a transistor, single 2N5088 transistor, pushing some clipping diodes. And then we built a JHS Angry Charlie version 3, which is a Marshall JCM 900 sim. It's a high gain Marshall. This is These circuits are going into a miniature battery powered amplifier. So it's a class D. It's rated at 100 watts. Now, when I say it's rated at 100 watts, I understand that yes, I'm running it on an 8 ohm speaker, so it's only rated at 50 at that point, and I'm probably going to be getting less. And I don't open the volume control all the way up anyway. Okay? This is a single 12-inch speaker. I'm not going for even 30 or 15 watts. It's not supposed to be ear rape loud. Besides, the board is this big and it costs under $10 from China. Okay? But at the same turn of the screw, it's not a stupid LM386 little pea shooter amp. This is loud. It runs off 24 volts. A dozen 18650 lithium ion batteries. So now that I got that out of the way, and I'm sorry, um, I had built a runoff groove Thunderbird, which is awesome. That's really a great Marshall. Like the PAL 800 is a great Marshall in a box pedal that uses JFETs. The Thunderbird is a little different and has this tilt EQ on there. You can get different sounds out of that. I'm highly recommending that pedal. Okay, it's this weird little site called Runoff Groove. You can buy a PCB from this place called 1776. It's an expensive PCB. It's like $12.95, and it uses 9mm pots that are hard to get. It uses some weird components. There's a charge pump, so it sucks power. It runs over a half an amp of current. It sucks. It sucks like 0.66 of an amp. So those downsides will get you the best Marshall in a box sound I've ever heard. I mean, see, the PAL 800 is this beautiful, really bright, clean, and it does get a little gritty. It gets this really nice breakup. The Thunderbird is like high gain. Now the Angry Charlie, I built that today. I built the Twill, the Angry Charlie, and then there was two noise gates that I needed. One of them needed a JFET, and one of them needed a what do you call that thing? A Vactrol. And so those came in, and I had to do the final wiring and test on those. And I didn't like the MXR. It's called a muffler that's sold by Pedal PCB. I really didn't like that noise gate. I really didn't. First off, I got a bad JFET. It's a weird JFET. I got the legitimate one. It cost me $6 for this fucking little transistor, and then it's it's a one knob noise gate, and mine just didn't function very well. I'd have to play with it some more. I got to see if I can even use it, but I really didn't like that. I can't believe that's MXR was selling that as a pedal with that limited functionability. It didn't seem to work very well. And that's all the build reports that I read about that were kind of like, you know. The other one is by Electric Effects. It's called the STFU, and that works better. But even at the bottom of its pot, I would like to get the release. You can't control the release, and it was kind of cutting off some notes. So what I'm going to do is put it on the dirty channel. I've got to play around with it some more. See, does it go better? Does this thing work better after the distortion circuit? I don't know. I'm thinking what I'm going to do. The amp is going to be wired like this. There's a 24 volt pack. That's 4 packs. 2 in series and both of those in parallel to get 2x24s. So we'll run the hot side of that up to one side of a DP-DT toggle, and then leech off that a little indicator. I got a 22 millimeter 24 volt yellow indicator, panel indicator. So it's a lamp. And then the other battery pack is 12 volt. That's going to go to the other side of that switch. Coming out of there, I will mount right to the inside wall a voltage regulator circuit, which gets a little warm. So then we'll shoot that 24 volts to the back where the power amp sits, and the power amp will exit out through a guitar jack, like a plastic one that doesn't connect to the chassis. Those Class D amps don't like chassis ground. So running this 9 volts is going to come out of the voltage regulator over. There's a front panel which mimics the front of the amp. On the inside there's another board, a little smaller, that runs parallel, and I can screw circuits to that. I'm going to have a strip on that, a barrier strip with the 9 volts, so I can tap into there for those 4 circuits. Because coming in, it'll be power switch on one side with an LED, 22 millimeter big yellow thing. And then on the other side will be the input jack. We'll have a buffer right there, Klon buffer, which is a TL072 op amp buffer. And run that over to this, probably this toggle, a DP-DT, which on one side of it will be the Twill, which is a Lay Louis. It's a 2N5088 transistor pushing some clipping diodes. And I went through that. I auditioned some stuff, and really this is the clean side. And there is a gain control on it. So I wanted to get a little bit of pleasing breakup. And I settled on some 3 millimeter LEDs. That's what I settled on. So there'll be this bypass, actually a selector, channel selector. So you'll have clean, which is 2 knob, volume and gain. And that's that Lay Louis. So it's some boutique pedal, costs like $150. You can get, if you fill it up with the proper diodes, it does Neil Young fuzz, kind of. And like Stones, like Start Me Up, or, that type of Stones, clean Fender distortion, where you just dime a Fender amp and it breaks up. The other side of that will be the Angry Charlie, and I'm gonna see, should I put that noise gate just with that dirty channel? Probably. And does it work better before or after I don't know. It just seemed like it was cutting off some of the sustain. So I got to read about that DOD 230. That's what I'll do. I'll read about it. So yeah, I'm going to be wiring that thing up. All the circuits, we spent 6 hours today. There was a short on the electric board, the STFU, the DOD 230. And I was cussing for about 10 minutes till I turned it over and found that. I actually had my test probe out. I can't believe I had a bridge solder joint. So, but yeah, everything else worked, and we did a bunch of testing, and it's looking good. That amp is going to be done. I do not recommend the MXR muffler. The Electric Effects noise gate PCB, if you're going to build a DIY one, that's the one to build. But again, I really like noise gates with more than one knob. I like that release, that if you can get a longer release on it, have it clamped down but stay open for a while. I mean, sometimes you want the release to come in right away. If you're playing like Metallica, you're going to want that gate clamping down. Other times you're going to want, if you're playing like Gilmore and you're sustaining notes, you're not going to want it shutting down, cutting off the tail of your sustain, So it was kind of my fault for not seeing that. But I will say, hats off to Electric Effects. That's the one you got to build. I'm still waiting on some parts. There's a good chance we're going to go out and make music using the amp that I built last year, which there's nothing wrong with that amp. It's actually a great amp. I mean, the idea with this one is that if I build the noise gate inside of it and it has 2 channels, I can get really nice clean tones as well as ridiculously high gain. without having additional pedals, because I was running a, oh, I have the beef. I was running the amp that I built last year with the spring reverb. That's a PAL 800, and it doesn't really do much gain. There's gain on it, and it does break up, but it's not what I like, a ridiculous amount of gain. So I was running a Carl Martin Plexitone and a noise gate. And this was like, oh, I built an amp this winter. It'll be fun, and you know, it was a nightmare. Anyway, there's light at the end of the tunnel. I should have this one boxed up pretty soon. Poor Keetah got his teeth pulled today, so little baby Keetah. Hey, baby, are you okay? Are you okay, Keetah? I love you, baby. Anyway, you guys take care of yourself. I'll talk to you soon, and